How y'all doing? I had an idea I wanted to share with YouTube and maybe get some comments and thoughts on what people think as far as my inquiry. I had decided to rebuild my mother's mobility scooter, and I thought, well, doing so, why wouldn't I make it to where it might work off of a perpetual energy? In other words, what I want to try to do is I want to, and I need to put the belt on here, I want to run it off of an alternator with a switch that I haven't been able to find, and or maybe some thoughts on something that might work, that would inevitably work off of battery power, and then some form of a switch that would switch when the alternator became self-energized, self-working, so that it might work the alternator and the motor all on its own without battery at all. I thought, well, if I could make it work in a mobility scooter, maybe I could make it work in a car with maybe a system of alternators, maybe by changing the voltage regulator on it, or on a system of them to a greater value than the requirements for the motor, and then regulating, resisting that down to the value of the motor, so that even at low RPM it's producing greater energy than what the motor would require, and always be resisted to what the motor needs. So you figure RPM or needed for an alternator to become self-excited would be about between 600 and 1,000, which is basically idle in a car, or anywhere between 5 miles an hour to maybe 7 or 8 miles an hour in low gear. And thus, once the alternator became electromagnetized and started producing electricity, some sort of a switch that would sense that and switch to running only off of alternated electricity, and maybe another alternator off to the side, if put into a traditional car setting, that might work as in a traditional sense, recharging the startup battery or the initial takeoff battery and working the lights and all the electronics of the car. Anyway, I started trying to see if I could make this work on my mother's mobility scooter, and I haven't got so far as to figure out what sort of a switch I would need, or what sort of a switch might work that would do something like that, something that might be directly connected to the battery, and then alternator to the switch, battery to the switch, alternator to the switch, motor to the switch, and switch from battery power to alternator power when the alternator became self-excited and working. If y'all have any thoughts on this, please post a message, or if you have anything of the similar that you're working on, a video of your own, and maybe between us we could figure out how to run a car with no fuel at all, no oil, no gas, no water, self-generating electricity. Thank you all. Y'all have a nice day.